The candy shop started in 1840 by my great-grandfather, Gottlieb Friedrich Wittich from Germany. And he ran it from 1840 to 1905. Mostly they made stick candy, and they also used to make a lot of what they called spun ice cakes, because a confectioner back then not only made candy, but they also made some fancy baked goods. Not the bread and the staples that a normal baker would do. That was a regular bake shop. And then he retired to, quote, write his memoirs, and turned it over to my grandfather. And then he ran it till 1930, when the Depression sort of come in and hurt him real bad. They had some financial problems, so they pared down, and he turned it over to my father in 1930, Fred Wittich, and he wholesaled stick candy and hard candies for 5 years to all the little grocery stores. My mother, she had a lady come down from German Village, and out of the goodness of her heart, she gave her one day, she showed her how to enrobe chocolates or dipping. Years ago, we also had a salesman used to come around, and they would drop off little recipes to manufacture a cream center, stuff like that. They took a lot of these recipes and reformulated some of them and made what we call today as our cream centers. Eventually I took it over. Through time we've gotten bigger. I've added things, and this soda fountain, I always wanted one, so now that I got the big store and big building, I got me a soda fountain. Bob Eagle from Columbus, he called me one day because he knew I was building a new addition to my store. And so he called me one day and wanted to know if I was interested in a soda fountain. So I told him I was going to have one in here. And when he called, he told me, he says, come on up and you can look at it. So I went up, and it was only about half a block north of him at the pharmacy. And I went in and talked with the gentleman, Arden Engelbach, and he showed me the soda fountain and told me that he was going to quit in the business because his eyesight was getting bad and he needed to do something else. So I looked the soda fountain over, and then I gave him a tentative price of what I could afford. He called me about 3 days later and told me, he says, if you want that soda fountain, just come on up and get it. He says, it's all yours. So I went up, and my wife and I spent 3 days disassembling everything and moved it to Circleville. I had a plumber come in. He was very good. He measured everything off of all the soda fountain and then lined up everything the way it needed to be. Mr. Engelbach and his wife, they came down and they instructed all the girls here on how to make sodas the old-fashioned way. And we basically do everything just like he showed us. And he even gave us a book that came with the soda fountain that tells instruction of how to be a soda jerk and the different recipes to make this and make that. The biggest thing is we get grandparents that bring their kids in here. And I had a sign that said, children are allowed 2 spins on the stool, because I get kids come in there and they sit down on a stool and they go round and round and round, and grandma and grandpa will be hollering, don't do that, don't do that. One lady wrote me about 15 years ago and told me she was born and raised in southern Columbus in a log cabin, and she worked at a little candy shop. When she got married, when they moved to California, she didn't think she'd ever find a piece of candy as good as what the candy shop in Columbus made. But then next door neighbors of hers received some of our candy as a Christmas present, and the lady had a piece of that, and she had to sit down and write me a letter and tell me how after all these years she found candy as good as what she had back then. So sort of tells you we're on the right track of what we're supposed to be doing. And so I don't change anything because it won't be the same thing. I don't make a whole lot of money on it. It probably holds its own, that's about it. I stopped considering myself being an owner of a business anymore. I'm more, I think, a curator of a piece of history of Circleville. To me, that's more important than owning a business.